Well, I think this is an unproven team, and we know that, and that's why we're picked 8th. But believe me, I don't think we're an 8th place team. We got 5 seniors. We led the nation in three-point shooting field goal, percentage last year. And so this team can score points. Our problem was last year is we couldn't defend very well. And that's been one of our focuses during this preseason, is that we're really putting our mind to stopping people and paying attention to that end of the floor. But, you know, with 5 seniors, I really believe this team has really come a long way since the end of last season. I mean, we all met as a team. You know, I named Jordan and Craig captains because of one reason, because they work harder than anybody else on the floor. And they've set the tone, and I'm proud of both of them because they've done exactly what I asked them to do, and they did exactly what they told me they were going to do. And so, you know, I'll be surprised if we're in the 8th spot at the end of the season.
You know, with so many freshmen and seniors, how will having that experience and that youth help, and do you think those seniors will be able to help those freshmen kind of contribute earlier than they?
Well, we've got a couple talented freshmen, and number one, Reggie Charles, our point guard. That was a major problem for us as we got into conference play last year, is that we really didn't have someone who was a true point guard. Reggie Charles is a true point guard. And the reason why we recruit, we passed on a couple other point guards that were probably more athletic than Reggie, but the bottom line, Reggie knows how to find scores, and he knows how to set people up, whether it's in transition or half court. And that's the only reason we recruited him, because he knows how to do it, and he's a gamer.
Coach, you talked about how this team won't be a number 8 team at the end of the year. You know, how will you guys go about doing that? I know throughout the offseason you guys have been active with playing elsewhere. You know, you guys have been working pretty hard to get to that. You know, what is it going to take to get out of that bottom spot, and you know, how do you use that as motivation?
It just took a whole new attitude, and you know, these two guys will tell you, and I'll let them talk about it, that we had to change the climate of our team, and that's what we did. We said if we're going to change and we're going to get better, then we're going to have to do different things, and I put that on myself. I said I got to change. You know, I've got to do things a little different than I have in the past. They've got to change. They've got to take more responsibility in what this team does and how hard this team's worked, and they've done it. And so that's been our attitude.
Can you guys touch on that then? How have you seen the climate of the team change?
I mean, I've seen drastic improvements. Just first of all, off the court, you know, I don't think we've had a team here that gets along like this team does, and that's a big thing. If you have rifts amongst a team that, you know, not everyone's together, then you have bigger problems that you can fix. And this year, I mean, from freshmen on up through us, we don't have that. Everyone comes hard, respects each other, gets along well, and you see that on the court in practice. We haven't had a game yet, but just in practice, you can see how that camaraderie translates. And there's respect where, if, you know, someone sees Craig working hard, or Craig sees someone slacking off and gets on them, they'll step it up, and it's not a problem. It's definitely, we've had a team effort from the beginning. We're excited to get playing so that can carry over.
How's help the team heading into this season, and how will staying healthy, I guess, help this year?
I think we're in better condition than we were last year at this point. The other thing is Will Royal has been healthy in our preseason period, and he's really made an effort to be in better shape than he's been in the last 2 years. I think that's going to help us. You know, Ryan and Dylan both went to Canada with me, and we played, you know, some games up there, and Jordan went to Europe and played some games. And so, you know, we got some guys that did some extra things that I think put themselves in better position than they were last year, and I think that's going to show.
Craig, could you talk a little bit too, a little bit into official practices now, how Jordan's touched on it a little bit too, but the dynamic of the team and how the chemistry is right now, every day in practice?
Yeah, I just think that in previous years, you know, someone would get on somebody else, and a lot of times we would either take it personally or, you know, complain, oh, well, they just don't like me or something. But now, you know, a lot of times, like, I'll get on somebody else, like I can get on Jordan or one of the freshmen and everything, and they'll listen, will pay attention. People get on me all the time, so everybody's getting on everybody, pushing everybody harder this year than what it has been in the past, and so far I think it's been paying off.
Craig, you just talked about how, being picked 8th, how that's motivated the team throughout the offseason.
Being picked 8th, it's preseason polls. We're going to take it personally though. Right now we're definitely going to be the underdog, but halfway through the season, mid-season, whenever, we don't plan on being the underdog for very long. We don't want to be in that spot the whole season like we have been in the past. So right now we're just going to use that as motivation to keep pushing us in practice, especially. And like I say, we were one of the worst defensive teams in the country last year, so we're definitely going to use that as motivation to pick up our defense this year and continue to do what we do on offense and just get some more stops.
Is there any game that sticks out to you in the early season that kind of serves as maybe a barometer of where you guys are sitting? I'm not sure if there's any teams that kind of stick out to you as a team that matches up well to you.
Well, I wrote down our first week of games. Charleston, West Liberty, IUP, and Cal. That's going to tell us exactly where we are. West Liberty was in the national championship game. Cal and IUP, as you can see, are picked 1 and 2, and Charleston has 7 Division I transfers. So right there, that week is going to give us a pretty good idea of where we are. And we don't leave campus until I think December 8th. So we got 3 exhibitions and scrimmages starting tonight with Hagerstown, and then we got Holy Family coming on Sunday, and then we got Gwendolyn Mercy the following Saturday for an exhibition, and then we got, I think it's 9 straight home games. So we don't leave. So we're gonna try to get comfortable here, and we're gonna try to pop some of these teams that are picked a lot higher than we are.
Got to be nice to get, especially with a team that has so many people back, to start at home. How does that comfortability, I guess, help with bringing some of the new guys along, I guess, for you guys, Jordan and Craig?
Anytime you play, at home, it's, I know last year we weren't successful at home, but this year we definitely need to change that. If we don't change it, then, after the first 9 or 10 games, we'll be pretty far out of the playoff hunt. So if we want to be able to succeed at home this year, we're going to have to start right off the bat by playing the best teams. But as of right now, we're not really worried about, one team in particular. We're worried about the first game of the year. We're going to take it one game at a time this year. Make sure we play 40 minutes hard, not just 20 minutes of a game, not 30 minutes, but make sure all 40 minutes of a game we play full and as hard as we can, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Jordan, we talked a lot about, picking it up on the defensive end. Is that more of an attitude, mentality, or is it more of the scheme that's going to help you guys improve?
I think it's definitely the attitude or mentality. I mean, same with losing at home. And that's just a toughness factor that we probably lacked, and us as players take responsibility for that too. That, that's personal if someone comes in and beats you by 20 or 30 or scores 90 points on your home court night after night. So that's something where, you got to do the X's and O's right, but it comes down to, I'm not going to let my man score 15 points on me tonight, and we're not going to get beat by 20 at home in front of our own fans, It's definitely a mentality we have to have, and I think that's going to change this year.
Coach Springer, you touched on it a little bit there with CJ's question, but how much more interesting is the dynamic, though, knowing that those PSAC West games mean all the more now, and also, too, that they start even earlier, too, than really they've ever started. To get all these games in, the schedule with the crossovers is really pushed into November and December. How much of a, just from a mindset of, not that there's any game to, slack off, but that knowing that those games are right off the bat, how important is that?
Well, I look at all this like Division I conference changes and everything. We're way ahead of the curve on that. We got a 16-team conference where, you're starting to play the best teams first week of the season. And so, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. We've never shied away from playing a great preseason schedule. And I'm excited. If I get a chance to play West Liberty, that's great. They were in the national championship game, so we get to get them the second night of the season. And like I said, we're going to learn a lot about our team by the end of that week, playing West Liberty, Charleston, IUP, and Cal. And I just think it's good. And I think the PSAC is way ahead of a lot of conferences by doing that, because I think the whole idea is to be competitive, and I think we've got one of the best conferences in the nation.
Yeah, both of the guys. Has there been anybody since last season that you've seen like drastic improvements in, or maybe a freshman coming in that you can see can be a real contributor early on?
I think.
I would say, like, as a whole, you know, I think everyone's improved from last year. Individually, I don't know, you wanna-
I don't know individually if I point one person out, but I mean, I think the biggest change has definitely been people's attitudes and willingness to listen this year and come to practice. But I mean, overall, I'd say I'm impressed with the freshmen. I mean, it's not every year that you get a group of 3 or 4 guys to come in that are that talented and don't play like freshmen from their first day of practice. They're going to have their mistakes here and there, but as a group, I mean, they're definitely going to contribute, and I was impressed with them.